Anong problem yan, Aaron? Yung gagawin mo?
At para math calendar, ano po, number 3 ng 2021.
Okay, sige. Meron pa isang nag-message sa akin eh. Sino ba yan? Okay. So, let us begin with Aaron. It's already 8 a.m. Please, present mo yung screen mo, Aaron.
Okay po sir, wait lang po. Hello. Malinaw po ba sir?
Yes, nadidinig.
Okay po. Okay na po sir. Start na po ako.
Okay, you may start.
Math challenge. Good day everyone. Good morning everyone. This is my presentation. Math calendar number 3, 2021. For the first given, 5 times 50 times 500 times 5,000 is equal to 5 times. The choices are A, 100 cube, B, 500 cube, C, 5,000 cube, D, 5 million cube. The answer here is letter B, 500 cube. In the math calendar number 3 math calendar number 3 of Sir Dong, the answer is letter B, 500 cube. Math calendar number 3 formula is 5 times 5 times 10 times 5 times 100 times 5 times 1,000 is equal to 5 times 5 cube times, open and close parenthesis, 10 squared, 10 squared cube. Then it is equal to 5 times, open and close parenthesis, 5 times 10 squared, close and open parenthesis, 5 times 10 squared, then 3 cube. Is equal to 5 times 500 cube, 500 cube. Sir, ask ko lang po sir, sinimplify ko lang po dito yung sir, yung final answer niyo po dun na nandun po sa math calendar.
So what is your question?
Hindi sir, sinabi ko lang po na sinimplify ko lang po, tinuloy ko lang po yung yung nandun po sa may math calendar niyo po.
Oo nga, napansin ko nga rin.
Okay po, continue ko na po.
Okay.
Then, is equal to 5 times 125 million is equal to 625 million. Then, dun po sa alternative solution na gagamitin ko, gagamit po ako ng scientific notation po. Scientific notation. What is scientific notation? A widely used floating point system in which numbers are expressed as products consisting of a number between 1 and 10, multiplied by an appropriate power of 10. The proper format for the scientific notation is ax 10 to the power of b. Ito na po yung sa yung alternative solution ko po. Um, Kinuha ko po yung 5 times 500 cube. Then, yun po yung ginawa ko pong basihan doon po sa, kinuha ko doon po sa may math calendar po. Then, continue ko na po. 5 times 500 cube is equal to 6.25 times 10 to the power of 8. Calculating scientific notation for a positive integer is simple. Follow this notation. The given formula is ax 10 to the power of cube, to the power of b, sorry. And given the value of a and b, a is equal to 6.25, then b is equal to 8. The next is 6.20, then simplify po, then 6.25 times 10 to the power of 8. Simplify lang po yung may exponent. 10 to the power of 8 is equal to 100 million. Then 100 million multiplied by 6.25 is equal to 625 million. Therefore, 625 million is equal to 5 times 500 cube. Then 500 times 500 times 500 times 5 is equal to 625 million. Ayun na. Thank you po.
Okay, so that solution is accepted. However, in the part where you expressed 5 times 500 cube as a scientific notation, you could have elaborated more. No? However, the solution is accepted, and that is good. No? Okay, so uh, although it's late now, I may say, I give Aaron a grade of 90 for that presentation. Dami na nag-present pero si Aaron lang nakakita nung madali na yun ah. Madali lang gawin yung problem na yun. There is one more who messaged me. Pauline, are you ready? Pauline?
Yes po, sir.
Go ahead. The screen is yours now. Share your screen and present your work.
Good morning. My name is Pauline King from grade 12B, and today I'll be presenting my performance task in PreCal. Next slide po. The problem is, if A and B are integers whose product is 5, what is the largest possible value of A raised to B? Next slide po. Here's the solution provided by Sir. Since A and B is equals to 5 and A and B are integers, A and B must be one of the following: positive 1 and positive 5, positive 5 and positive 1, negative 1 and negative 5, or negative 5 and negative 1. Hence, the largest possible value for A raised to B is 5. Next slide po. Here's my approach. 5 would be the product if we multiply A and B. Here are the possible value of A and B. A can be positive 1, positive 5, negative 1, and negative 5. B can be positive 5, positive 1, negative 5, and negative 1. If we try to use each pair of values, these are the possible solutions. If A is equivalent to positive 1 and B is equivalent to positive 5, 1 raised to 5 would be positive 1. If A is equivalent to positive 5 and B is equivalent to positive 1, 5 raised to 1 would be positive 5. If A is equivalent to negative 1 and B is equivalent to negative 5, negative 1 raised to negative 5 would be negative 1. And lastly, if A is equivalent to negative 5 and B is equivalent to negative 1, negative 5 raised to negative 1 would be negative 5. The answer, or the largest possible value, is positive 5. Next slide po. Listening and have a nice day.
Okay, thank you. Anyone, any before we start? Okay. By the way, I told you we will be observed by Sir Harris, ano? Pero pumayag siya na i-record ko na lang. So I am just recording this class, and it will be viewed by the principal and Mr. Arsigal on a later date. So it's a good thing that many of you responded and attended the class. So um, wait lang ah. Pauline, what problem again is that? Nakalimutan ko.
Week 8 po, 2021.
Week 8 of 2021.
Apa.
Pareho ng kay ano? Ano, no, no. Kay Anjanet pala is 2022. Okay. Okay. So I would like to show you again, ano, para wala tayong uh, matatanggap na reklamo ulit. No? So, if you did not present your, let me, before we answer the exercise number 30, let me tell you the scenario, no? Kasi this is the STEM elective class. I believe you're expecting high grades kasi you will be enrolling in good universities, I think. Pero this is a task that ran for about 4 months siguro and hindi ninyo nagawa. So I don't think kung hindi mo ito nagawa, you do not deserve a high grade, no? Yung mataas na grade. Yan. Kasi kapag dalawa lang naman yung grade natin eh. Written and performance stats. Okay? So, to tell you, kung wala kang performance task, I don't think papalo ng line of 8 ang magiging grade mo. Siguro makakapasa ka man pero line of 7 yan. Kapag kinompleto mo yung lahat ng activities sa Google Classroom. I'm telling it to you now. And also, last year, there was this parent, no, who messaged me. Hindi ko na makita yung ano, parang galing yun sa klase ninyo. Hindi ko na makita yung conversation namin. The situation is this. Recall ninyo baka isa sa inyo na uh, the situation is this. Hindi na ako nakapag-check ng performance task last year sa statistics and probability. So I based the grade kung ano yung nasa aking class record. So what happens, this child, or the child talaga no, senior high school, this person, nakapagpasa pala siya at hindi ko na-check. Pero actually, within the deadline na binigay ko na ipasa niya. So, hindi ko na na-check. So, what happens, yung grade na naibigay ko sa kanya sa statistics and probability is supposed to be a little higher dapat if I was able to check the performance task. Now, I am locating that conversation. Alam niyo naman yung aking messenger. Napaka-busy. Siyempre, personal and work, pati church, kasama. Nagme-message doon lahat ng kasama sa church, lahat ng kaibigan, kamag-anak, estudyante, teacher. So, busy-busy yung messenger ko, no? Hindi ko na malocate. If ever it's you, please message me again para bago mag finalize ng forms, masabi ko dun sa teacher ninyo ngayon. No? So ito no, the others, if the others will be watching the recording of this class, I am still giving you the chance until next what date is it today? Today is June 2. Last day of class is June 24. So I am giving you until next Thursday. Ha? Para matapos ko yung grade at para ma-prepare ng maayos yung inyong graduation. Ha? I'm giving you until Thursday to submit a performance task recorded. It will not be presented anymore to the class. Now, pero syempre, those who presented it to the class took courage, no? Took courage na makita ng classmates kung paano sila mag-present, kung paano sila magsalita. Kaya matataas itong binibigay kong grade. Now, if it is recorded and it will be submitted to me, the highest grade that I may give sa ihahabol na performance task until Thursday is 85. No? Hanggang doon na lang yung pinakamataas na maibibigay kong grade. Okay? Do you have any question about it? May question ba? Nadidinig ba ako? May kausap ba ako? O baka meron pang magpe-present ngayon? Ba, wala yata akong kausap ah. May tanong ba?
Wala naman po, sir.
Wala naman.
Wala naman po, sir.
Okay. So, that will be all with the performance task kung dalawa lang talaga yung magpe-present. Okay? Ayan ha, binibigyan ko pa kayo ng chance. Ulitin ko, until Thursday, submit it to me, recorded. If it cannot be submitted through messenger or email, baka maging malaki yung file, save it to your Google Drive. No? Hanggang 15 gig naman yung Google Drive ninyo, kaya ninyo yan. And then, send me the link. Ha? O, pag yung link hindi ko mabuksan, ganito kasi ginagawa ng mga estudyante, akala nyo hindi ko alam eh. No? Magsisave kayo ng file, kukuha kayo ng link, tapos yung isa-send ninyong link, lalagyan nyo ng panira na another character so that kapag binuksan, kinlik, hindi mabubuksan. Pero, ikakatwiran ninyo, nag-submit kayo. No? Pag nag-submit kayo ng link at hindi ko mabuksan, that will be considered no submission. Okay, so much with that. Tomorrow, we will have a meeting with your parents. I don't know if it was already announced to you, no? And that is with regard your to your graduation, no? We will discuss the details and then saka ko na lang sasabihin sa inyo yung mapapag-usapan. We will have hybrid graduation, no? Merong nasa site at yung ayaw talagang payagan ng magulang will be attending it online or virtual. Okay? But still, lahat ng pinapasubmit ng advisors, isubmit ninyo, no? Submit para pag inupuan namin at gagawin yung program ay wala nang bibitin-bitin pa. Okay? So much with that. Let us answer exercise number 13. Exercise number 13. Sagutan natin to. Start tayo sa part 2. Do you have any question, class? And I hope you wait lang I observed that some of you are not really paying attention to answering the exercises. If I will look at the video lesson, tignan ko yung video lesson. The assignment is supposed to be, tignan natin kahapon hindi pa maganda yung yung record. Yan. Tignan natin asan na ba yung aking screen yun na kayo share sa akin. Yan. Tignan natin yung video lesson. Yan, nawala na. Asan na yung mathematical induction? Kung 36 kayo, dapat in a matter of 7 days, this must be viewed. 36 nga ba kayo? Ilang kayo sa klase?
50 plus po, sir.
50 plus. So, this must be viewed at most 50, no? In the last 7 days. Asan na? Ba't nawala? Kailan ko ba ginawa yung mathematical induction na yun? Yun. Ito. The principle of mathematical induction. Tingnan natin. Ay, part 1 to. Part 1. Wala na talagang nanood nito. 0. Isa pa. Dami na pala nitong video lesson na to. Hindi ko na makita. Yan. Is it this one? Tingnan natin. Part 3 of 3. 7, no? In the last 7 days. Tingnan natin. 7 views lang. Simula May 29. Ibig sabihin, hindi talaga lahat kayo gumagawa ng inyong task. Diba? 7 views lang siya. 7. So, 7 lang talaga yung nanood in the last 7 days. So, ibig sabihin, when we answer the exercises today, not all 19 of you have answers. Pero anyway, sagutan natin. Nakikita ko naman yan kung ilan yung gumagawa. And pati sa Google Classroom, tingnan natin. Ilan yung nag-submit. Ay, nag-stop share ako. Pakita natin yung Google Classroom. So, I believe yung grades ay, kaya hindi ko pa pinapakilaman yung grades, hindi ko pa tinitignan ulit eh. 8 lang. Tama. Pasok doon sa pasok doon sa kung ilan lang yung nanood ng video lesson. Yun lang din talaga yung nag-submit. Okay? Sige, sagot tayo. The others who do not have answers, please do your part, no? Listen carefully, and the others, check your work. Nasaan na ako? Wala yung aking document. Cancel mo na. Yan. $8.23. Sana masagutan natin lahat, no? Okay, so this one. Use mathematical induction to prove that for every positive integer n, 7 raised to n minus 1 is divisible by 6. In other words, that 6 divides 7 raised to n minus 1. So by mathematical induction, we have, in the video lesson, we have 2 steps. But in the last time when we discussed, we said we can have it 3 steps. Sundan natin ngayon yung 3 steps. Okay? Pero still, nandun din naman lahat yon. Kahit na 2 steps lang yun nasa video lesson. Okay. So, we start with, by mathematical induction, we start with the basic step or basis step. When it says every positive integer, then the set of positive integers begin with 1. So when n is equal to 1, 7 raised to 1 minus 6 is equal, oh no, that's 1. 7 raised to 1 minus 1 is equal to 6. That is 7 minus 1, and that is equal to 6. Huh? Since 6 divides 6, that means 6 is divisible by 6, then n equals 1 is true, or the basis step is true. Okay? In the video lesson, the second step and the third step are combined. But if we're going to separate them, the second step is what we call the assumption step, not college, assumption step. Na? So in the assumption, binabanggit din naman to sa video lesson, assume n equals k is true for all k element of the positive integers. Ganyan. So if it is true, then our equation will be 6 divides. Yan yung symbol natin, no? If you watch the video lesson. 6 divides 7 raised to k minus 1. No? Where k is element of positive integers. Of the set of positive integers. Next. Tapos na yan. So, gagamitin mo to when you manipulate later on. In the inductive step, no? Dun tayo sa inductive step, when n is equal to k plus 1. If it is true for if it is true for n equals 1, and it is true for any k positive integer or element of positive integer, then it implies that n equals k plus 1 is true, and that is what we're going to show by mathematical induction. The equation now becomes, we will change n, this one, no? We will change n to k plus 1 because we say it implies that n equals k plus 1 is true for the statement. So we have 7 raised to k plus 1 minus 1 is divisible by 6. And let us show that. Pakita natin. Now, let us manipulate. What do we mean by 7 raised to k plus 1? This is 7 raised to k times 7 from the rule of exponents. Same base. 7 raised to k times 7 raised to 1. Same base, add exponent. So this 7 raised to k times 7 is the same as 7 raised to k plus 1 minus 1. Okay? Were you able to follow? Nasusundan ba? Now let us show that this is divisible by 6. In this case, hindi yan malinaw. 7 raised to k times 7, no? By definition of multiplication, this is sum of the same addends. 7 raised to k plus 7 raised to k plus 7 raised to k. Pitong 7 raised to k yan, kumbaga. No? So we can break this down into 7 raised to k plus 6 times 7 raised to k. Ito lang yan. Binrake lang natin into sum of 17k and 6 7 raised to k, or 1 7 raised to k and 6 7 raised to k. Ito yan, pito. No? Minus 1. Right? Next. So, ito, equal dyan. Yung next line naman, equal dyan. Now, let us show it further. Or let us rearrange. Unahin natin yung 6 times 7 raised to k. isunod natin yung 7 raised to k minus 1. And when we group this clearly shows na from the assumption 7 raised to k minus 1 is divisible by 6. Yan. So dito na, yung mathematical induction becomes an essay-like, an essay writing like task in mathematics. Na? Since 6 times 7 raised to k is a multiple of 6. Multiple of 6 yan kasi 6 times an integer. And by assumption, inassume natin, and that is accepted, 7 raised to k minus 1 is also a multiple of 6, or do we say divisible by 6? Therefore, tapos na yung ating mathematical induction. Therefore, by principle of mathematical induction, 7 raised to n minus 1 is divisible by 6. That's it. Recall natin. This is by mathematical induction. No? We start with the basis step, n equals 1. If it is true, you proceed to the next step. Assume that n equals k is true. So we have 7 raised to k minus 1 is divisible by 6. And then next, this implies that n equals k plus 1 is true. So you show that by algebraic manipulation. Yeah. So by mathematical induction, therefore, 7 raised to n minus 1 is divisible by 6. Do you have any question, class? Huh? Who has an answer to this? Dun sa number 1. Meron ba may sagot? Yes, Raven. Would you like to send me a picture of your work para maipakita natin sa class?
Number 1 po, sir.
Yung number 1, yes. We will compare your answer to my answer. And let's see how it will be considered.
Sige po, wait lang pa.
Okay.
Nasend ko na po, sir.
Okay. So let's see na yung sagot ni Raven. Tingnan natin. Yeah. Kita niya sa screen? Hello? Yeah, sige. Tignan natin. 7 raised to n minus 1 is divisible by 6. Okay. So verify for n equals 1. This is correct. Gamit ako ng red. So this is correct. Yan. So S of 1 is true. Following what is in the video lesson. Very good. Inductive step, assume 7 raised to k minus 1 is divisible by 6. This is S of k, that is correct. And this is the assumption step na isinaman dun sa inductive. This implies that S of k plus 1 is true. 7 raised to k plus 1, pinalitan lang, literally change n by k plus 1. Yan, Okay. Yan. Yung 7, ginawa niyang 6 plus 1. That is the same idea. So, tapos, distribute mo doon, yun ang mangyayari. Di nahiwalay ngayon si 7 raised to k minus 1, which is by assumption. is divisible by 6. Very good. Uh, okay. Uh, in-itemize niya dito, na? 6 times 7 raised to k is divisible by 6. 7 raised to k minus 1 is divisible by 6. Therefore, by some factor sum theorem, which was discussed in the first slides of the video lesson, the sum of these two values that are divisible by 6 is also divisible by 6. Okay? This is very good. Very good, Raven. Tama yan. Okay? Let's proceed to number 2. Asan na yung number 2 natin? Natakpan na. Natakpan yung number 2. Ayan, number 2 tayo. Do you have any question, class? Sasagot ni Raven and dun sa how it is the same with our discussion now? Wala naman. Sige. Okay. When you pursue technical courses or higher math courses, magkikita pa ulit kayo ni math induction. No? As those of you who will pursue IT, BSIT, meron pa rin kayong discrete mathematics, magkikita pa rin kayo ni math induction. Siyempre, hindi yan mawawala dun sa magpupursue ng engineering and yung I hope meron naman sa inyong kukuha ng math majorship na in college. Sige, let's proceed to number 2. For every natural number n, prove that mali ako dun sa number 2, hindi ko na ilagay yung plus. Dapat may plus dun. May nakagawa ba ng number 2? Wala, ano? Dapat may plus dun eh. Raven, nagawa mo ba yung number 2? Hindi.
Hindi po, sir.
Nakakalito kasi hindi ko nalagay yung plus. Anyway, let's show you the answer. No? Dapat may plus dun. Pakita natin. Mas mahirap kasi yung itsura nito, kaya pakita natin. But, using the same idea with number 1. No? So, let's start. Basis. Ba't naging pula na yung tinta ko? Basis step. Sabi dito, natural number. Natural number is the set of numbers, parang positive integers din. 1, 2, and so on. Ayan yung mga natural numbers. Na? For every natural number n, prove that 4 raised to 3n plus 1 plus 2 raised to 3n plus 1 plus 1 is divisible by 7. Let us begin. Basis step when n is equal to 1. So we have 4 raised to 3 times 1 plus 1 plus 2 raised to 3 times 1 plus 1 plus 1. 3 times 1 plus 1 is 4. So 4 raised to 4, 2 raised to 4 plus 1. 4 raised to 4 is 256. 2 raised to 4 is 16. And then 1. 256 plus 16 is 272. Tama ba? Plus 1, 273. Okay? 273 is divisible by 7. 273 divided by 7 is ilan to? 39 ba to? 39. 39. Without remainder. When a number is said to be divisible by another number, that means when that number is divided by the given number, the answer is an integer, a positive integer, and there is no remainder. So since when 273 is divided by 7, the answer is 39, remainder 0. When I say no remainder, I mean remainder is 0. So 273 is divisible by 7, n equals 1 is true. Or yung ginawa ni Raven, S of 1. That means the function, the statement, no? When n equals 1 is true. Okay? For those who will take higher mathematics, when you say 273 is divisible by 7, you write 7 divides 273. Yun ang basa doon, no? 7 divides 273. And when you say does not divide, uh, 7 does not divide exactly. Ibig sabihin, 274. Ganyan naman. Kasi kapag yung 274 is divided by 7, there is a remainder. Okay? Let us proceed with the assumption step or the inductive step. Gawin natin yung inductive na kaagad. Pwede naman. The inductive step. We assume that n equals k is true for all k element of the natural numbers. No? So our statement will be 4 raised to 3k plus 1 plus 2 raised to 3k plus 1 plus 1 is divisible by 7, or 7 divides this statement. Okay? Let's continue. If you have questions, just raise your hand. Just raise your hand. Next, diretso tayo. Now, this implies that kapag pinagsama nyo yan sa sa uh, is true sa iisa, no? Sa inductive step. So we're going to show that S of k plus 1 is true. What happens to our expression? It becomes 4 raised to 3 k plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 raised to 3 times k plus 1 plus 1. Yung mga font ninyo, no? Yung pagsusulat, yung mga nasa exponent, kadalasan ay nakakalito. Ayan, tingnan niyo dito. Yung k, naging k plus 1. Literally, papalitan siya. Pero meron pang plus 1 doon, kaya nakalagay pa rin dito yung plus 1. Let's manipulate this one. Manipulate natin to show. Look at the assumption, no? Always put this in mind, yung assumption. Ito, yan. Dapat ma-separate mo yan in later solution. Alright? Let's continue. Dito tayo. Distribute natin yung 3. Magiging 4 raised to 3k plus 3 plus 1. 3 times k, 3 times 1. 2 raised to 3k plus 3 plus 1. Meron pa tayong plus 1. Sometimes, when you manipulate, medyo malilito ka dahil sa dami na ng characters, sa dami na ng sinusulat mo. But, hahanapin mo kung paano mo ma-separate itong nasa assumption. Ayun na yung 3k plus 1, nandun ulit yan, no? 3k plus 1. So, what happens? Rewrite natin, no? 4 raised to 3. Huwag niyong i-add yung 3k, yung 3 plus 1, malilito. Yun na, oh. Yung 3k plus 1, nandun pa rin. Yung 2 raised to 3, ayun ulit yung 3k plus 1. Salamat. Okay? Again, by rule of exponent, when you add exponents, that means this is a product of two exponential expressions of the same basis. So, 4 raised to 3 is 64 times 4 raised to 3k plus 1. Alright? Ito rin, 2 raised to 3 is 8 times 2 raised to 3k plus 1. Ayan. Hanapin natin kung paano ninyo ma-separate yung 4 raised to 3k plus 1 plus 2 raised to 3k plus 1 plus 1. Again, by the definition of multiplication, we can rewrite 64. Ibig sabihin nito, 64 times nito. We can rewrite this as the sum of 63 times ng 4 raised to 3k plus 1 at 1 times 4 raised to 3k plus 1. 64 yan, no? 63 at saka 1. Ganun din, si 8 times 2 raised to 3k plus 1 can be rewritten as 7 times 2 raised to 3k plus 1 plus 2 raised to 3k plus 1. 8 yun eh. Kaya 7 at 1. Ayun, yung plus 1. So makikita ninyo, ayan na siya. Addition statement na yan, pwede nyo nang hiwa-hiwalayan. Pagsasamahin na natin yan, no? Okay? So mangyayari, rewrite natin, rearrange 63 times 4 raised to 3k plus 1. Sunod na kaagad natin to. Plus 7 times 2 raised to 3k plus 1. And then, sunod, 4 raised to 3k plus 1. Sunod, 2 raised to 3k plus 1 plus 1. Now, in your assumption, this is already divisible by 7. And what happens to this? Notice that this has a common monomial factor of 7. So you can rewrite this as a product of 7 times 63 divided by 7 is 9 times 4 raised to 3k plus 1 plus 7 divided by 7 is 1. So pwede na lang yan 2 raised to 3k plus 1 plus 4 raised to 3k plus 1, 2 raised to 3k plus 1 plus 1. Alright, ayan na, tapos na. Gawin natin yung katulad ng ginawa ni Raven para malinaw. Itemize na to. 7 times 9 times 4 raised to 3k plus 1 plus 2 raised to 3k, 3k yan, 3k plus 1 is divisible by 7. Divisible by 7. As long as k is a natural number. No? Pag nag-fraction ng k, hindi na pwede. Dapat natural number yan. Also, 4 raised to 3k plus 1, 2 raised to 3k plus 1 is divisible by 7. How? By step 2. And that is the assumption. Okay? Hence, by principle of mathematical induction, 4 raised to 3n plus 1, 2 raised to 3n plus 1 plus 1 is divisible by 7 for all n element of the natural numbers. Okay? Any question? Hindi ko na itatanong kung may nakasagot na. Yes, Almedora. Have something to say?
Sir, sa 7.2 po, tas divided by 7, bakit po ito yung sagot?
What do you mean 7.2? That is not 7.2. That is a multiplication symbol. 7 times 2.
Okay po, okay. Thank you po.
7 times 2. Anyone else? Pero kumpletuhin mo nga yung tanong mo. Bakit Bakit?
Sir, kala ko po kasi 7.2.
No.
So, nagtaka po ako bakit pa 7.2 divided by 7 is equals to 2.
No. Ano yan? 7 times 2 yan. Nilabas natin yung 7.
Yes po.
Okay? No more question? Class? Di ko na tatanong kung may tama yung sagot kasi mali yung given, wala yung plus symbol. Alright, let's proceed to number 3. Number 3, dapat easy-easy na lang sa inyo yan, no? Iwan natin yung number 3 pala. Iwan natin yung number 3. When you submit your final output in the Google Classroom, number 3 should have an answer in there, no? And 7 lang yung nanood ng video lesson. I would like you to watch it. At nandun yung solution for number, magiging madali lang yung pag-solve ng number 2 and number 3 ng part 3. However, yung number 1 ng part 3, let us show the solution now. Medyo mahirap to. Pakita ko na sa inyo yung solution nito. Ito. Basta panoorin niyo yung video lesson, this will be very easy for you. Hindi ko na to sasagutan, no? Halos pareho lang yan ng number 1 eh. Parehong para. No, not that one. Ito, parehong pareho lang yan ng number 1. Okay, it's like papalit-palitan nyo na lang yung numbers dyan eh. We have 10 minutes left. I will show you the answer to number 1. Okay? This is by watching the part 3 of the video lesson on mathematical induction. Okay? Use the principle of math induction to prove that x minus y is a factor of x raised to n minus y raised to n for each positive integer n. Let us begin. Meron ba may sagot dito? Si Raven lang. Sige Raven, mamaya ulit sagutan ko muna. Send mo sa akin yung picture Raven para makita natin ha. So that we can
Sige
connect to the class. Sagutan muna natin. Okay. So for the basis step, n equals 1. Bakit ulit n equals 1? Kasi positive integer n. Tignan natin dito sa susunod. Dito, hindi positive integers n. N is greater than or equal to 5 kasi hindi na natin ito sasagutan mamaya, no? So that you know how to begin it. Your basis step dito will be n equals 5 kasi yun yung start niya. Dito naman, for all integers, n greater than 1. So ano basis step natin dito? Anyone? Pag sinabing for all n greater than 1, ano ang basis step natin dito? You will start with n equals, salamat sa pagsagot. n equals 2 kasi greater than 1 eh. Tapos integer na. So that is how you're going to start ha, yung number 2 and number 3. Diretso na natin to. Positive integer kaya you begin with n equals 1. Na? Ay, ano yung sinara ko? Cancel. Okay. So, diretso natin. X raised to 1 minus y raised to 1 is x minus 1. Any value except 0 or any number except 0 is divisible by itself. 0 divided by 0 is indeterminate. No? Pero, except for 0, any number divided by itself is 1. Therefore, x minus y is divisible. X minus y divides x minus y. Hence, n equals 1 or s of 1 is true. Right? Let's start with the assumption. Inductive step. Bakit naiwan yung aking binilog doon? Buray na lang natin. Anyway, nakita naman na ninyo yan. Manggugulo yan pagka hindi natin binura. Alright. So, inductive step, we assume n equals k is true. So, our statement becomes x minus y divides x raised to k minus y raised to k. Now, for this one, we need some sort of manipulation again. No? If x minus y divides x raised to k minus y raised to k, then there must be an integer. Let us introduce another integer. No? If x raised to k minus y raised to k is divisible by x minus y, then we say that x raised to k minus y raised to k is equal to the product m times x minus y for m element of positive integers. Tama? Kung madi-divide siya niyan ni x minus y, dapat merong m, an integer multiplied by x minus y, for which the result is x raised to k minus y raised to k. Okay? So, uh, rewriting this, we'll have x raised to k is equal to m times x minus y plus y raised to k. Let us leave it here first. Iwan muna natin dyan. Punta na tayo dun sa inductive step. This time, we're going to show that x raised to k plus 1 minus y raised to k plus 1 is divisible by x minus y. And this is the s of k plus 1. Na? Okay, gawin natin yan. Now, x raised to k plus 1, literally, pinalitan lang natin yung n ng k plus 1, minus y raised to k plus 1, by definition, or I mean by rule of exponents, this is x times x raised to k. Yung k plus 1, exponent ng x at saka exponent ng x raised to k. Minus y times y raised to k. Ha? Okay? Next. Now, from the assumption, we have x raised to k. Sagot lang ha. Wala akong battery. Okay. Okay. Now, from the assumption, we have x raised to k is equal to m, or any integer m, times x minus y plus y raised to k. So, let us substitute the value for x raised to k. That will be x times m times x minus y plus y raised to k. Pinalitan lang natin si x raised to k, no? Times minus y times y raised to k. Distribute natin yung x. We have mx times x minus y plus x y raised to k, na? Minus y times y raised to k. Right? Next, notice that in the last two addends, ayan, there is a common monomial factor y raised to k. So we can factor it out. Mx times x minus y plus y raised to k times x minus y. May iwan yung x and negative y. Now, notice in the resulting expression, x minus y is a common binomial factor. So we can factor it out again. X minus y times the quantity mx, may iwan dito, mx plus y raised to k. Okay? So, in this last expression on the right-hand side of the equality symbol, this is x minus y times any value, which is an integer, mx plus y raised to k, and that is equal to x raised to k plus 1 minus y raised to k plus 1. It has a factor x minus y. Huh? Since x minus y is a factor of x raised to k plus 1 minus y raised to k plus 1, makita ninyo? So, x raised to k plus 1 minus y raised to k plus 1, it can be expressed as a product x minus y times the quantity mx plus y raised to k. So x minus y is a factor of that. Therefore, x minus y is a factor of x raised to n minus y raised to n for n element of natural numbers. Or you say x raised to n minus y raised to n is divisible by x minus y. Okay, tingnan natin yung sagot ni Raven.
Ay, sir, di ko po pala sure kung tama po ginawa ko dyan.
Pero sinend mo?
Opo, sir.
Tignan na rin natin. Total, na-send mo na. So, yung number 3 ng part 2, number 2 and 3 ng part 3 remains an assignment. I would like to see your answers in the Google Classroom. No? Tingnan natin ito. Basis step, syempre, papasa lagi yan sa basis step. Okay. Ito kasi, itong factors na to, when you multiply this, magre-result ba talaga dito? Not exactly. Pag pinactor mo to, x dito, x. Yan. Ito, pag pinactor mo to, it will not necessarily result to this Raven. Pero, if you have an exact value for k, it really can be factored out and it will show na x minus y is a factor. Dito yan. Dito medyo vague yung magiging solution pag in-express mo as this one. Dito yan, dito. Okay? Doon lang naman yan. Do you have any question? Naintindihan mo, Raven? X raised to k plus 1 does not necessarily result to this expression.
Sige po.
Okay. Do you have any more questions, class? So, yung mga yung mga reminders nabanggit ko na dun sa unahan ng ating discussion. For those who came in late and for those who will view the recording, please watch the beginning of the discussion para do sa lalo yung mga walang performance tasks, na? Any question, class? Wala na? Okay, so if there's no more question, thank you for attending the online class. God bless all of you. Dismiss na tayo.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you,
Bye
sir.
po.
Thank you po, sir.